You know, sometimes the perception of power is more important than power itself. As our president continues to fumble on the world stage, he single-handedly is bringing about the decline of the United States as a world power, something that impacts you in every way, from your pocketbook to your safety. This decline in power has been ongoing since Barack Obama took office, starting with the red lines, the finger-wagging, removing economic sanctions against Iran, allowing it to continue its nuclear buildup, relying on Russian President Putin to broker a deal for Syria's removal of chemical weapons just to save face after announcing that the U.S. planned to attack Syria, and not sending reinforcements to protect our men in Benghazi, unilaterally removing the missile defense system that protects Eastern Europe from Russia. All the while, our president trumpeting the reduction of our military on the world stage. Not only are we now perceived as weak, our enemies emboldened, impacting your safety and mine. With this loss of power, or the perception of that loss, goes manufacturing jobs, trade alliances, and allies standing with us. Weakness encourages aggression. Putin's perception of power is so strong that he took Crimea with virtually no one hurt or killed. Our president threatens cost, claiming to speak for the international community. Except the international community wasn't with the president. The UN, NATO, the EU, no one with an initial was with him. Our president revokes a few Russian businessmen's visas to Disney World and withdraws Putin's invitation to tea with the G7, formerly known as the G8, Putin being the disinvited odd man out. Mr. President, while you're moving teacups, Putin is moving soldiers and tanks. Today, 80,000 Russian soldiers on the Ukraine border. Now you come out and say there will be more cost should Putin take more than Crimea. Since Putin already took Crimea, you really didn't mean what you said, and you didn't say what you meant, so why should he worry now? And while you've got a pen and a phone running around wagging your finger, Putin is running around with tanks and 80,000 soldiers. You brag about reducing the United States military. He increases Russia's military by almost 79%. Putin's influence in Europe and the Middle East increases. Russia is on its way to becoming the dominant world power. And you say this?
I think the strong condemnation that it's received from countries around the world indicates the degree to which Russia's on the wrong side of history on this.
A regional power? Weak? Really? You engaged him to broker that Syria deal. After you didn't have the fortitude to follow through on your threat, you're now relying on Russia, the KGB agents, truth-telling that Syria is going to eliminate its chemical weapons. And by the way, all the while, Russia is selling weapons to Syria. And don't we rely on Russia to get us into space now that we've shut down our own program? And take a listen to this.
Russia is a regional power that is threatening some of its immediate neighbors, not out of strength, but out of weakness.
You know, who's looking like they're on the wrong side of history? You're not listening to history, and he who doesn't learn from history is destined to repeat it. Ronald Reagan was a strong president. He trusted, but he verified. He ended the Cold War. You come in and take down the missile defense system in Eastern Europe with nothing in return. Why are you doing this? Do you even know who our enemies are? Do you know that your obligation is to protect us and protect our economy? And you say Russia's a regional power? With all due respect, Mr. President, Putin is a pig, but he's been bitch-slapping you since the Edward Snowden mess. And speaking of perception, your Secret Service bozos passing out drunk in hotel hallways, traveling with you in Europe, makes you look weak yet again. Do you think Putin's KGB guys would dare do something like that? And I suspect that they probably can handle their Stoli better. You draw lines, Mr. President, Putin crosses them. You play make-believe war games, he sends in the troops. You sit around moving teacups, he moves the armored tanks. And you want to poke a tiger, this tiger, in the eye? The perception of power, Mr. President, is as strong as power itself.